It's a picturesque evening in Tampa, Florida, as we get set for kickoff in the USL Super League. Tampa Bay Sun are unbeaten in their last 4 at home. Natasha Flint has scored in 3 of those matches as they host the league's hottest team. Brooklyn, winners of 6 straight, have 4 players that have scored at least 3 goals, led by Mackenzie George. Kickoff comes your way here in just a moment as Tampa Bay and Brooklyn square off. For the 3rd time this season, it's Tampa Bay Sun and Brooklyn FC, this time squaring off here in Tampa Bay. The inaugural season of the Tampa Bay Sun is presented by Tampa General Hospital. Together, TGH and USF Health form the region's only academic health system, integrating clinical care, teaching, and research to deliver the best possible outcomes, including cutting-edge technologies, therapies, and treatments. Michael Watring and former U.S. Women's National Team star Casey White with you. Tampa Bay has been excellent at home, unbeaten in their last 4, and a variety of players stepping up in those matches.
They love being at Riverfront Stadium, playing extremely well, and a lot of different players stepping up in different moments. That's what makes a dangerous team, especially when you're at home. It's unpredictable, and there's a lot of attack coming from their attack.
They have so many different options. There's Carly Jamona, who has been one of the stars of this league. 6 goals, that's top 3 in the league this season. The team unbeaten when she's able to hit the net.
She's definitely a player that people are having to recognize, but yet she still finds ways to get in and around the box, and she's very opportunistic, especially with those bouncing balls in there.
And then you look at this Brooklyn side. On the other hand, just a superb year so far. They've won 6 in a row. Their defensive work has been fantastic, but they're also showing a little bit of flair to score goals.
A lot of times you see when you don't give up a lot of goals that maybe the offense suffers, but that's not the case. They're 2nd in the league in shots on goal. They're able to get forward quickly, have a lot of players that are scoring goals all around this league.
They've given up just 8 goals all season long. That's 4 fewer than any other team in the USL Super League. As you take a look at the numbers here, clean sheets there first. Best at home, best on the road as well. And when you look at Brooklyn, the defense has been fantastic, but you cannot sit on just one player. 4 players have scored at least 3 on the season, and Luana Grabias is one of those star players. 4 goals for the season, including a hat trick in November.
And 4 goals and 1 assist coming in the last 4 games. So much is about form, and Grabias is in great form right now. That's going to bode really well for Brooklyn as they go into the second half of the season.
Brooklyn has outscored opponents 13-2 during their 6-match winning streak. Will they run it to a 7th in a row tonight? Or will Tampa Bay Sun make it an unbeaten string of at least 5 at home and hand Brooklyn its first loss since October 19th? We'll have the starting 11s and the opening kick when we return to Tampa, Florida, as Tampa and Brooklyn square off.
You want to do it with me?
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll marry you.
Ross and Rachel, this is war.
Can we just close the door?
They're ready for a fling.
Hands off me.
It's a big surprise. Frisky friends that like to share.
How you doing?
Let me show you my underwear.
Friends trends.
Hook up with Friends 5 nights a week. Catch a full hour of Friends weeknights at 7 on Tampa Bay 44.
At Canes Sleep Center, we know nothing beats free. That's why when you buy a name brand mattress at Canes, get a free adjustable base upgrade. Get free next day delivery. Get interest-free financing for 4 full years. And get a wonderful night's sleep. Free adjustable base upgrade. Free next day delivery. Interest-free for 4 years. Now at Canes Sleep Center.
Corbin defending. Grabias is in behind the keeper and scores!
Harley Canales with the shot! Cross, Richardson tapped home!
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Say man by Alpizi.
trick. I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
And we welcome you back here to Riverfront Stadium as we close in on kickoff. It is Tampa Bay Sun and Brooklyn FC in this matchup here tonight in Florida. As we take a look at the starting 11 for Tampa Bay Sun, biggest missing piece, Cecile Nielsen, is gone with the U23 for Denmark on international duty. How do they replace her in this match?
Parker Goins, she's going to slide in there right up top with Flint. A little different skill set, will look to go in behind. But two players also really important in this starting 11, Nacello and Paige Almendarez in those wingback positions. They'll be critical to how this team manages the transition game.
And then you look at the Brooklyn side. Sydney Martinez, the team's regular goalkeeper, is with Puerto Rico, but what a luxury it is to have Niku Purcell back there, 3 clean sheets on the season.
Oh, it's incredibly nice to have her come into the game. They usually play in the 4-3-3 system, and she'll be underneath the back line that we've come to see all year. Kroger will slide into that holding mid role, and the one to watch for me is Mackenzie Pluck. She can play on the half turn. She really looks to unlock defenses with the way she distributes the ball going forward.
So getting ready to go in this matchup as you take a look at the Tampa Bay Sun, and time for tonight's Casey's Keys. How is this match going to be won?
I think for Tampa Bay, the long spells of possession will help manage the transition. If they can keep the ball, move it, it will also try to move the structured defensive shape of Brooklyn as well. For Brooklyn, the mobility in midfield, extremely important because that organized and aggressive press that's going to be coming from Tampa Bay, they're going to have to figure out a way to find those midfielders and get away from it.
Fascinating for Brooklyn. This is part of a 6-match road swing. The first 3 of the second half of the year are on the road for this group. Meanwhile, it's a Tampa Bay side that has just been fantastic at home, but they only have 1 win against the top 3 in the USL Super League as they try to maintain a stranglehold on the number 4 position in the playoff push for the USL Super League. Here as we get ready for action. Busy weekend. All 8 teams are in action this weekend. 3 matches tonight, and then the standalone match tomorrow with Carolina and DC Power. Our official is John Griggs. This will be his first match as the center official in the USL Super League for the campaign. Comfortable night in Florida. Can't get much better than this time of the year. This is the time of the year where when you're in Florida, you are enthusiastic about the weather, being able to go outside with a little light jacket.
This is one of the few times in Florida where players probably feel like they can run all day, and so they'll welcome that. And then for the Tampa Bay Sun, they're at home, and so I'm sure they're going to want to come out flying right out of the gate, really aggressive against the team traveling in Brooklyn.
This is the 3rd match this year between the two sides. 2nd match of the season, Brooklyn's first ever win, a 1-0 victory on this pitch, and then October 23rd started a 6-match winning streak for Brooklyn. They fell behind in the 5th minute. Sydney Nacello scored, and then 2 goals before halftime from Sheriff and Garziano in stoppage time proved to be the difference as Brooklyn won at home 2-1. So the 3rd match, can Brooklyn make it a flawless 3-0 against the Sun, or will Tampa Bay come out with a result here on the home field here this evening? It's another good crowd here at Riverfront Stadium, and we are ready to lock and load here in the USL Super League. 2 of the top 4 teams on the table are in action, and Brooklyn possesses to start things off, and we are underway here in Florida. Michael Watrang and Casey White with you. It's good to have you on board for this match this evening. And when you look at Brooklyn, they had a little bit of the extra time off, but they also spent some time in Italy taking on Napoli in a friendly, and they had some opportunity to build as a team and that culture as well that Jess Silva speaks so highly about.
Well, and that's what I find so interesting is how each of these teams manage that not real off-season, but preseason period coming into the spring, and going to Italy for them and getting a big game was important for them, and how they managed just the way they wanted to go forward in their play.
And Tuso steps up, but Flint comes over to take it away. Should be a highly contested match in the midfield, and that's very easily where this could be match will be won here this evening. Garziano lifts it across the field to that left-hand side, and it's over the top and out of play on that pass. So a throw in here for Tampa Bay. We spoke with Denise Schulte Brown, and her biggest key for this match, clean sheet. They have conceded in 9 consecutive matches. She wants to see the defense dial it in a little bit stronger here in this one.
And after speaking with her, I think one of the things to really look for is how do they keep the ball when they win it, because it allows them to get into a bigger shape. They aren't so exposed just in case it is turned over. So those longer spells of possession are important, and making sure that they really enjoy the ball when they do win it back.
Brooklyn in possession, trying to build something forward here as this ball is lifted over the top by Pickard. On the season, Brooklyn 4th in the league in goals scored, 19 of them. And they have been dominant in the first half. A dozen of those 19 have come in the opening 45. They score early and often in the first half, and that allows their defense to really shine, and the biggest reason why they've only given up just 8 goals all season. Listro turns, and now it trickles down the park.
And what we're seeing now is a little bit of a reverse of what we've seen for the Tampa Bay Sun in the first 2 games. They really started as the aggressors with pressing, even though they did give up an early goal in the last game versus Dallas Trinity in transition. They were kind of the aggressive team going forward. Now Brooklyn, coming on the road, really has started to play it in their end and say, we're going to reverse that, and we're going to be the team that's going to come and make you try and play out against us.
Flint nearly got a piece of that ball as it goes back to Purcell. Played collegiately at UCLA, getting her 6th start of the year here this evening. Jade Moore in the middle of the field. Turns and unleashes a ball for Almendares that is wide of her mark. Well, for Tampa Bay, you could say 2 things about the first 2 matches of the second half of the year. They've fallen behind in both. They've come back to earn draws. Good in the sense of the scrappiness, bad in the sense that they've fallen behind in those 2 matches and now trying to put everything together in the full 90 and come away with 3 points here on the home field. On the turn, around the corner, George is in the middle and it's just behind her backside. Nacello takes over. Nacello leaves it behind. Pressure from both of these sides forwards will be something for the back lines to defend. Kroger.
And something we're already seeing is the role that Samantha Kroger plays in that midfield. She plays in that 6, that holding midfield role, but her mobility is so good that she can go side to side and really try to lock teams in. We're already seeing it early where she's picking up some loose passes that the Sun are trying to play through midfield.
This could be a playoff preview of sorts. Brooklyn number 1 on the table entering the night. Tampa Bay number 4. George takes over. George glides along, chops it through. Garziano unable to get there, and Ashley Orcus pounces on top of it. It was Kaylin Marquise's role out of the gates to start the second half, but an injury to her in the opening 20 minutes of the second half of the season put Orcus back out there. This is her 10th start of the year, 11th overall appearance. And Denise Schulte-Brown said, tough for Marquise. They were hopeful that she would play that role, but business as usual for Orcus to come back out. It's Purcell, 21 years of age, leaving it forward to that left-hand side. It's been good tempo to this one, but I've yet to see a shot so far here in the opening 5 minutes. One match is final already. It is Spokane, thanks to a 15th-minute goal from Katie Murray, upending Dallas on the road. So that is an important win for the Zephyr. Scarpelli chips this one through, and it's punched away and out for our first corner of the night, and it goes for Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn's done a great job of establishing possession after that first little line of pressure, so then the Sun are having to drop into a more defensive shape, and they're just conceding so much space, and that's what it's allowing this play down the wide side, and they're rewarded with the corner kick.
Let's see what happens here on this attacking set piece. Mackenzie Pluck, the 24-year-old, played collegiately at Duke, ships this ball all the way to the back post, and the header lofts high off the top of the head of Yapel. Here is Denise Schulte-Brown. Pretty good point to mention her because she said that defensively against set pieces are going to be potentially the #1 reason why this team can advance or fails to advance the rest of this season. They had to spend a lot of time in the midseason trying to clean that area up.
Well, that's definitely an element of the professional game that can always be a separator, but you want it to be a separator in a positive way, and she made no bones about it. She was open about that they needed to get better.
Flint steps over in front of Goins. The flag goes up for offside.
But I like this spell of possession here from the Sun because they are not getting a lot of numbers forward in possession necessarily right away, but when Brooklyn starts to possess higher with a higher line, there's going to be that space in behind, and you've got Parker Goins up top who has a lot of speed, loves to go in behind, and Flint can do it the same. That might be an area that they can take advantage of as the half goes on.
How is Goins different than Nielsen?
Well, Goins definitely a little bit more north to south. Nielsen pops off the line a little bit more. Goins can do that for sure, but I think her bread and butter and what makes her special is her ability to drive that defenses, whether it's off the run or off the dribble.
Goins getting the start tonight with Cecile Nielsen with the Denmark U23 side. Goins with the club as a mid-season acquisition. Tuso draws the foul. Goins had the equalizer against Dallas last week. 50th minute tying goal against Dallas after the Trinity scored in the 4th minute of that match.
Well, we got a chance to speak to her this week at training too, and she talked about that, not only getting her first goal for the Tampa Bay Sun, but in a fashion that was really important for the team to be on the road, have a comeback, and be able to tie that game. It felt good for her to be able to do that and contribute in that way. Every forward's going to say that for sure, but she was really excited about it.
Mackenzie George goes after Nacello, and she commits the foul. Chases after it. You can always tell her on the field. She's wearing that pink headband. Says that she does it so that she can help herself when she does film review to pick herself out.
I thought that was really interesting because it's something she started when she was a little younger and starting to watch film, and she's like, it's easy to spot. It's always fluorescent. I always wear one like that. And she said, plus it's fun. I like it. Makes me happy. Makes me feel good.
10th minute of play here between two of the top 4 on the USL Super League table on a busy night of action in the league. No score so far between Brooklyn, winners of 6 straight, and Tampa Bay, unbeaten in their last 4 at home. Michael Watrang and former North Carolina Tar Heel Casey White with you for this action tonight with our entire crew. Grateful to have you on board. Moore punches this along. Flint tries to get the angle. Natasha Flint uses that body, able to punch away from Hill and then loft one high and over everything. But you see the skill set of Natasha Flint. She's been a big reason why this group has been so good at home.
Yeah, and I loved everything about that buildup. It was really nice. That was that longer spell of possession I'm talking about, that they're going to have to make Brooklyn chase, but then still look for those times to play in behind. And that was really well played by the group, and so much composure coming from Natasha Flint up top. You mentioned it. That's what she brings, is that skill set of being able to hold play up and be able to create something.
Ball floated long. George tries to get the angle. Hendricks cuts her off. George gets a piece and rescues. That's fantastic hustle by the former Tennessee Volunteer. Out top it goes. Pantuso. Slides it forward. Grabias was trying to dangle it along. Great play tonight. The 9 wins for Brooklyn are more than the bottom 3 teams in the league combined. This ball floated over the top. Grabias unable to get the edge. The last second, Yapel hustles over.
Well, one of the things when you think about Brooklyn too is that it's done by committee and it's a structured, organized team, and they do that, and you can tell by the way Jess Silva coaches. She wants them to be disciplined. She wants them to be organized. They can play in different shapes. They can press out of different shapes. So it's not easy to adjust to that for teams within the league, and they've really done a great job of that, and that buy-in piece is so huge.
George promptly pilfers. George to the end line, swings it across and wins another corner kick here. Second corner of the match coming for Brooklyn. Didn't get a shot attempt on their first go. Sam Kroger, the 22-year-old out of Rutgers, will have the honors this time around. Kroger loops this ball around, and it's punched to the ground. Orcus unable to control it. Pantuso had a pop at it, but couldn't put it on target, and Orcus shakily handles that ball. And that's been a problem for Tampa Bay. It's not just the first ball, it's a lot of times that second ball that comes out of these set pieces.
And that's what they did really well here. That could easily be a goal for Brooklyn, but you have to stay alert. You have to keep your feet moving as a defensive player just in case your goalkeeper isn't able to bring that ball in. Those are the areas of growth that Denise Schulte-Brown has seen in her team, and if that doesn't happen, it could be 1-0.
Pluck. Yapel unleashes from long range and hits the right post. Somehow stays out. Mackenzie Pluck had her sights set on a long distance opening goal.
This was absolutely incredible. It seemed to really come out of nothing, just conceding too much space in an absolute rip, and it was starting to drift away. Hits that post, but what an opportunity for the midfielder.
Denise Schulte-Brown very complimentary of Pluck, and boy, that nearly found the net. I think Orcus might have gotten just enough of it to tap it away.
And you could see it kind of floating away from her. You're right. It was a great strike. Just there's too much space there in midfield for her to be able to get that shot off.
Our first warning sign of the opening 45 comes via Brooklyn. This is the time of the match when they typically turn up to a different level. They've scored 6 times in this middle section. Kroger to get it past the first line of defense. We'll have a second go at it, but lose it to Nasello. Defenders all around. Kroger holding tight. Nasello loves going 1v1 and draws the foul.
This is a small thing, but Nasello knows there's another defender coming, so she puts her body in front of Kroger and uses the momentum against the midfielder to draw that foul. That's a very veteran move, in my opinion, because she did so much work, and just getting right in front allows her team now to get higher up the field.
Flint. Nasello hits it off the backside of Pluck.
And now these are moments here where this is the possession that the Sun need to really enjoy, make Brooklyn chase a little bit. Easier said than done because they press well, Brooklyn does, but now in these moments, can they move the ball, get a little bit of rest because they've been defending a lot for these first 15 minutes or so.
Orcus flies this out towards midfield. It's punched into the middle. And now more unlocked space on the left-hand side. Wide open at the top. It's Flint hooking this ball around, and it hits the crossbar and goes over the top.
And what's so essential is Jade Moore just putting her foot on the ball, keeping it, looking to change the point. Bassett plays a great ball in. The first touch takes Flint sideways, but give her credit. She does pretty well to get on the side of it, get her body over it, just not quite dipping enough. But that sustained possession is allowing them to get numbers forward, and you can see individually how dangerous they can be.
Denise Schulte-Brown said that Flint gets a chance or two every match where she could easily score. They could have better numbers than what she has right now with 4 goals. That might not be the most easy chance that she's had all year, but just shows the skill set that Flint has. George back in the other direction, flips this one through. Garziano wants it up top. Instead, Gravias taps it away. Pluck again measures and stumbles. Challenge. Scarpelli takes it away despite a hard slide tackle. She circles, floats over the top. George is over there. Nacello turns away from pressure. And now it's given right back. Out top it goes. Pluck. Pluck wants to go with a left, instead waits. High arcing ball in, and Orcus catches out of the sky. Better attack brewing here for Brooklyn.
They started to get numbers forward a little bit, and Nacello did a great job for the Sun on the weak side, making sure she was in on the initial chance, then the giveaway. But there was more of a shape behind the ball for the Sun if they do give it away, which allows them to defend really well in that final third.
Tampa Bay looking for some of the possession now. They've had some small spurts, but for the most part, this game has been controlled by Brooklyn. Jess Silva asking her team for what she calls 101-minute efforts. It's not just the full 90, it's the stoppage time minutes that go into it as well. And the big word that she circles around the locker room and the training ground is grits.
And that's really what she wants to focus on. She wants her team to be the best in 1v1 as we see a potential turnover. Yeah, that one goes backwards. But 1v1 defending is really something that she harps on and wants her team to be known for, and that grittiness piece of it.
And a giveaway here leads to our first corner of the night for Tampa Bay. The Baldwin Group is the proud presenting partner of the Tampa Bay Sun Corner Kicks. Protect what's possible. So Paige Almendares heads over to take the first corner of the night for Tampa Bay. Almendares walks it off with the cones just to her right foot. Almendares bends this ball across and flopped over the top by Purcell. Had a little bit of pressure right in front of her, but handled it pretty well.
It's nice having that left-footed in-swinger, and this is also an environment where Jamona is really good. She's right there all around Purcell. Anything that bounces down, she's very opportunistic, so continue to watch her in that area because that's usually where she shines.
See what Almendares does with the second go here. Almendares high arcs this ball all the way to the back post, knotted back down by Hendricks before it's funneled back out towards midfield. Another spell of possession here for Tampa Bay as we hit the 20-minute mark. No score so far between the top team in the league, Brooklyn, 6 straight wins against Tampa Bay, who sits in a tie for 4th on the league table. Alongside Casey White and our crew, I'm Michael Watrang with you here on Peacock on a Saturday night. Good to have you with us for this matchup, an entertaining one as well for this potential playoff preview. See the possession heavily favoring Brooklyn so far. They're doing much more in the attacking third with it as well, and feels like when Tampa gets it, they're very direct, they're very quick with their attack. There hasn't been much build or much possession. Let's see what happens this time around. Nacello charges, chops it through the middle. Moore taps it over. Goins punches it along, and sliding out there is Purcell. better through the middle of the field building up there.
It was. There was intention behind that, and you can see what Goins can do running in behind, and Flint's vision, just a little bit too heavy of a touch. But going back to the possession piece, something that Jess Silva talked about for Brooklyn was she loves to possess, but it has to be with intention. She wants to eliminate defenders, and you see how they had 12 final third entries. That's eliminating defenders through that 64% possession that they have established so far in this game.
Both teams are so good at turning their opponent over from that back line. Both back lines will be under a lot of anxiety as we go through this one, as Tampa Bay returns fire. Flint funnels this one for Jamona. Jamona chops it through. It goes right through the legs of Purcell and rolls all the way out on the opposite side of the field.
This is great build-up into this final third. It's again Flint who's playing just the facilitator right now, playing Jamona in. The run from Goins, perhaps you want to leave your feet there, but it's happening so quickly, and it just wasn't the perfect pass. Perhaps it needed to be cut back more, but you can see what Goins can do with her wanting to run forward.
Momentum has shifted towards Tampa Bay. Jamona doesn't catch up to that pass from Nasello. Goins provides pressure, and Brooklyn now trying to work out of their own end of the pitch.
It's almost like the Sun have figured out a little bit. So what Brooklyn does, they put their outside backs really high, Pickard and Scarpelli, so they can match up 2 versus 2 with the center backs, Flint and Goins. And Flint's kind of coming off that front line to play make, and that causes some issues.
Gravias forces Hendricks to clear that ball. Sasha Pickard will be tasked with taking this throw. One of the 3 players in the history of Alabama to hit 100 career appearances. And Sydney Nasello down on the field. And will get walked off by the trainer, so she will have to sit out for a moment. An active match so far for Nasello.
And this is someone they definitely don't want to see come off the field. She does so much on the attacking side, but she's really layered in some of the defensive work that's required of the wing back in the way they play, really helping on that weak side defensively. But yeah, it requires a lot of those wing back positions to be able to play the way the Tampa Bay Sun require.
So you see Nasello getting worked on as Pickard throws the ball in. Gravias chips this ball through the middle and waiting for that last-minute run from Yapel. Just slides past her and goes out for a goal kick.
There's been a lot of interchange between Yapel, Pluck, Gravias, even Garziano a little bit. Like, there's a lot of fluidity of the front runners, especially off that left side, and that mobility is really hard to stay with, especially when you're in a 3-back system.
Take a look at Jess Silva, the December coach of the month. Said if you want to be the best team in the league, you have to be consistent. And they've been nothing shy of that of late. 6 consecutive wins for the top team on the table. They haven't trailed since Sydney Nasello scored on October 23rd, the opening goal in that match. It proved to be a comeback win, the lone comeback win of the year for Brooklyn, 2-1. Flint dodges 2 defenders, flicks this along. Nasello back on the field, taps it in. Jamona twirls, leaves it back. Flint thinks. Flint with a left foot now, spikes it wide left.
And the way that Flint plays back to goal with just the composure and the confidence that she has, that's critical for those spells of possession for the Sun. And this is a great look. Flint gets back involved. She started this entire thing. Doesn't quite hit that the way I would think she would want to on that. Jamona finds her right at the top of the box. But in the run of play, in that middle third, Flint's going to be huge coming off that back line.
Here's a giveaway, though. Too much from Garziano. Jamona pounces. 3 defenders near her, looking for options. And it's well controlled defensively to get that ball away from trouble after the turnover. Listro with Gravias at her backside. Leaves it behind. Tampa Bay has a chance to reset for a moment. It's been free flowing between these 2 groups. only time this year that Brooklyn have allowed multiple goals in a match. You have to go to October 19th, 2-0 loss at Carolina. That's also their last loss of the season. They do not get exposed frequently, with the league leading 7 clean sheets.
And it's really interesting because they commit so many numbers forward. They commit their outside backs high in the press. They're almost even with Sam Kroger as the 6, so it's really just 2 at the back. But because of their possession and because of their pressing with understanding when to press and how to press, they keep teams in their own end, and that's really keeping them away from your goal. That's the goal of everything, right?
Mackenzie Pluck fires this ball in. Flint does the honors of clearing it out. Pickard finds George. 2 defenders get over to her, and Masello walks out of there with it. Masello. Working it along the back. See the relentless pressure, but Tampa Bay doing a really nice job of maintaining possession and forcing Brooklyn to run.
And what they're doing now is their spot that's really available is above Garziano and below Gravius. That area is really good where they can find them and play out.
Almendares gets a yank of the jersey after it looked like she was going to be able to turn the corner against Scarpelli. But a good recovery run there by the 23-year-old who played collegiately at Florida Gulf Coast. Both teams have hit the woodwork here in the first half. As this is taken away, Goins was nearly ready to unleash a long shot. Instead, ran into Kroger. Either side unlock something here before the halftime break. Scarpelli has options inside of the box, lifts this one along, and Orcas steps up with George and Gravias around.
So far through almost 30 minutes, I really like this matchup between these two teams. I think you're seeing opportunities on both sides. There's not a lot of shots on goal necessarily right now, but there's a lot of attacking opportunities and final third entries, but it's all controlled. No one looks like they're in a rush. No one's playing forward or direct just to do it. It's under control. It's systematic, and you're seeing it from both sides as we go throughout this first half.
It has very much had an entertaining feel to the match and also gives you a little bit of a sense of what a playoff matchup could feel like. Has a little bit of that feel to it here through the first 30 minutes.
It definitely feels cagey, to your point of we're going to play our style, and we're already really good at our style, and it's only going to continue to get better. And you're seeing both teams adapt to it and find new spaces to get into to try to hurt the opponent.
A third of the way through this one, it's scoreless between Tampa Bay and Brooklyn, both looking to extend their streaks. Brooklyn winning 6 in a row, Tampa Bay unbeaten in their last 4. Plenty of time to choose a pass here, all the way across. Pickard heads this over. George spikes it off of a defender's foot. Listro cannot slow it down. Scarpelli's cross knocked away by Flint. Flint gets vertical with Scarpelli. And we'll get a whistle and a stoppage here with Scarpelli going down after the collision with Natasha Flint.
It was just a tough challenge. Both players going up, going for the ball. Scarpelli definitely took the worst of it right there, and she'll get checked on. But it was a tough challenge with both of them going up for it. You kind of don't necessarily think that's a foul in that moment, but you want to make sure Scarpelli's okay.
So getting looked at by the medical staff here. And Scarpelli will step off the field as Brooklyn will have a throw deep inside of the attacking third. Flint punches that ball away. And it's another corner kick coming here for Brooklyn. Their fourth so far in this matchup. Taking quick. Nasello, though, does her work defensively and wins her team a goal kick in the end. Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Possession still favoring Brooklyn, nearly 60-40 splits in that regard. Final third entry, 16-9 in favor of Brooklyn as well. Which side will blink first?
And one thing that really allows him to get a higher, more advanced shape is the feet of Purcell, the goalkeeper. She plays very high. We see the foul called, pretty obvious foul in that moment. Our center official's right on top of it, but Purcell's ability to use her feet just really helps him build out.
Listro, the guilty party there. The captain for Tampa Bay.
But I like this from Listro. She's used to that holding mid position. She advances a little bit higher to try to put pressure on. It's a foul, but Tampa Bay wants to press a little bit more, and they're having to do it in the middle third. And a lot of that comes from the holding mids, and Listro stepping in that moment, I think, is a good thing for the Sun.
She took out Mackenzie Pluck, who is not happy with the takedown, and voiced that to John Griggs. Arcing floating ball. George promptly makes the turn. Two defenders over for George. Now a third joins, and ultimately it's George that gets the last piece. Pickard launches. Luciano stumbles, and Jamota, the benefactor. Flint chases that ball, but eventually loses out to Kelsey Hill, but comes back to take it. Nasello, that's a really good ball there by Flint. Nasello, dynamic in these 1v1 settings. Nasello finds space. Nasello curves and knocks it off a defender's head. Bassett now chases along the right sideline, keeps it in play, and a throw coming here for Tampa Bay is, oh, check that, it'll be a foul. Whistled against Bassett there at the end.
Bassett had a lot of momentum going forward once she committed to that. Just a little bit late, but the attack's much better. We'll see right here, just comes in a bit late on the tackle on Scarpelli, who takes another hit, but much better from the Sun in their attack. Flint getting involved, but I maintain the sixes, Listro and Moore stepping higher up, winning balls a little bit higher, is allowing them to keep Brooklyn a little bit more in their end, and then they can show their sophistication of moving the ball around, recycling play, and starting the attack.
That was a dangerous ball there by Pantuso, and then Flint fouls Purcell, and Flint is going to get booked for that as well. Why not be aggressive, though, in that situation?
I think you take a chance. I don't mind it from Flint. It's a foul. It's a foul, don't get me wrong, but you want that grittiness as well, and you just never know what might happen in that moment. You're trying to find any edge to win, and of course the crowd's not going to agree. They're in Tampa, right? But I agree. It is a foul in that moment, but I like that Flint's trying to be a difference maker.
There have been a couple of those occasions for Brooklyn. Losing possession deep inside of their own third. Tampa Bay have not quite taken advantage yet, but threatening. George.
And in this lower block defending, I do think the Tampa Bay Sun are looking a bit more disciplined. They're getting back in their shape quicker in transition, and it's hard to do against Brooklyn because the fluidity of the front runners is really hard to deal with, but starting to settle into that a bit more as this half goes on.
That ball well weighted. Goins chases after it, runs out of real estate. Jamona forces Purcell to hit it first time. This match has all the makings of a good chess match between two excellent coaches, two terrific teams here in the USL Super League on a Saturday night in Tampa Bay, Florida. Here's Jade Moore. Moore looks to her right, flares the ball over the top. Listro in space. Jordan Listro flares it across, and a well-timed header there with Jamona searching for that ball. Pickard just gets enough to aid it along. Nacello on the recycle. Flings it down the sideline, but the run not being made there by Victoria Haugen.
Well, and as it's getting better for Tampa Bay, you can also see why Brooklyn leads the league in goals conceded, right? They are very hard to score on because they're very organized. Pickard gets back on that backside, does really well dealing with the cross, because that is a dangerous cross from Jordan Listro, but they're just so stable and disciplined in the back, so it becomes incredibly difficult to generate a lot of chances.
No team has scored against them in the final 10 minutes of the first half this season. Foul given against Brooklyn. And now a pretty good location here for Tampa Bay to try to make something happen inside of the box. John Menderes comes over. 27-year-old. Grew up in Sacramento, played at UNLV. Spent some time overseas as a pro. Flings this ball all the way across. It's not a down by Hendricks. Flynn is over there, and look at that tackle by Kelsey Hill to get it away. Otherwise, Flynn had her sights set on the opener.
Well, it was incredible from Hendricks. I love the service of Paige Almendarez so far in this game. It just floats up just enough. It allows Hendricks to get there, and Flynn's got to leave her feet in that moment with her left foot because Hill does, and that's why she gets there. But it's a great run off the shoulder by Flint, just lacking that final aggressive touch there for the finish.
Off of this corner kick, all the way to the back post. Goins traces it down, knocked away by Pantuso. Only as far as Almendares, though. Almendares to the top of the 18. Jamona hustles to try to make things difficult for Pluck. Just beyond the 40th minute now, still scoreless here in this tussle. Brooklyn looking for a 7th consecutive win. Tampa Bay looking for its 2nd win of the season against one of the top 3 on the table. Pickard. Again, passes being intercepted here. Jamona. Pickard Garziano. It's taken out by Flint, legally in the eyes of John Griggs. Flint settles, funnels right through the middle. It's a great ball. Moore shoots it around Purcell and scores the opener. Tampa Bay have a 1-0 lead.
And this is a great reward for Tampa Bay. Look at this from Natasha Flint. She goes to her right, sneaks it back through. There is a tiny window to find Jade Moore. That's your holding mid, making a run forward in this moment. It's a perfectly textured ball, a great finish, just finds a little bit of space around Purcell, keeps it low. A great team goal and a very good finish from a top player.
Jade Moore opens her account with Tampa Bay Sun with that goal. And it comes off of a giveaway. And you just wondered how many times could Brooklyn get away with doing that? And ultimately, Flint, just great eyes. First time ball, had to be pinpoint with a pass, and Moore does the rest.
Well, and it was really interesting because when they won that ball over, they didn't have numbers in midfield. Paige Almendarez was already on the back line. Haugen was already back, and Nacella was back. But the midfield did a lot of work in there to win it, dispossess, and transition right away.
So Brooklyn now trails for the first time since they played Tampa Bay October 23rd. They came back to win that match 2-1, but they trail 1-0 in this one. Here closing in on halftime. Let's see how Brooklyn responds. Up. Drops it behind. Looks like Tampa Bay has gained some confidence here in the last several minutes of play. The goal certainly doesn't hurt at all. Flint just had a great pass that set up the goal. This time it ping-pongs around. It goes all the way back to Niku Purcell. Purcell had clean sheets in her last 2 starts in December. And 3 clean sheets in her first 5 starts of the season. But concedes in the first half of this one, and the team's goalkeeper for a group that has 7 clean sheets on the year has conceded a goal.
And more than likely, you're not going to go through an entire season without conceding one, right? So it happens. Now it's what is the response? How do you organize your back line again, not let this turn into another goal?
Goins stays onside, shuffles around. Left-footed ball blocked out. Flint gets back to it. Listro. Jamona lets it fly around. Nacella intervenes. Nacella gallops, punches it around the defender, Pantuso, but over to rescue is Kroger. Tampa Bay not satisfied with just the one. They're looking for a second here before halftime.
They can definitely feel it. She had a 2v1 opportunity there or able to go behind, but credit Pantuso for stepping in at the right time and timing her tackle really well. But yeah, you can tell that Tampa Bay wants to try to capitalize on this last couple minutes.
2 minutes of stoppage time coming up here in this first half. And what a way that this match has shifted. It was a lot of possession for Brooklyn. Some chances here and there for Tampa Bay, but in the last 10 minutes, they have been feisty. And they've turned the grit around on this Brooklyn side.
Well, the 2 things that Denise Schulte-Brown said she was happy with was their pressing and then their low block defending. Early on, their low block defending had to be really good because Brooklyn came out firing and was really coming at them, and they just kept in it and built into the game, figured out some possession patterns that would allow them to go forward, and now they've really changed the momentum here for a little bit.
We've had 37 final third entries combined between these two sides. It's very much been an attacking opening 45. This header will trickle wide left. Another one of those balls all the way across that gives Tampa Bay a chance, but Goins misses wide.
Just an opportunity to try to set Goins up, and that's going to be hard to score from that distance. She does a pretty good job with it, but it's just a high arcing ball. Hard to get a lot of power behind it.
set. Cranks this ball forward. Hill hoops it around. So many things have gone right for Brooklyn. 6 straight wins. What's the message if you're Jess Silva to your group at halftime?
They continue with the way they were playing. Most of the first half was very good. They just converted on opportunity. Yes, Tampa Bay has come into the game, but I'm sure there'll be some spaces that Jess Silva recognizes, hey, we could potentially find some pockets here or there to expose some players or expose the back line of the Sun, and she'll expect them to be able to make that adaptation as they go into the second half.
Rabias tries to slide that away, but Nacello wins it back for a moment. And there's your first half whistle. And a solid first half we had here in Tampa Bay. Back and forth we went, but the final 10 minutes favored Tampa Bay, and they get the goal. And ultimately for the Sun, they only have one win against the top 3 in the league. This very much a game that could alter their season.
This could be a statement game, and yes, there's still 45 minutes left, and Brooklyn is a handful, so they're going to have to figure out how to keep this lead and maybe extend upon it, but it could be a statement, and I think that so far they've done a really good job of just staying in it and building that confidence throughout the first half, and now it's Brooklyn who has to go in and decide, hey, how are we going to get ourselves back into it?
Brooklyn has one comeback win this season. It came against Tampa Bay earlier in the year when they came back to win 2-1 on October 23rd. That is the start of their 6-match winning streak. And the goal from Jade Moore, her first in the United States, is the reason why Tampa Bay lead Brooklyn 1-0 here at halftime at Riverfront Stadium. And the Sun with a 1-0 advantage. We're joined now by Jade Moore. Jade, thanks for taking some time. What did you see develop on the goal that you scored?
It was just a good counter press. Obviously, I found myself in a 9 position, which is unlike me. It's been something that the coaching staff have asked me to do this part of the season, is have more effect going forward, so that's something that I'm really trying to concentrate on, and lucky for me, I put it in the back of the net.
And Jade, not only did you score, but you were really critical in getting it on the ball in possession out of that defending final third that allowed you guys to grow into the game. What do you expect in the second half that'll be important about that role as well?
My job, obviously, to make things work, to build the attack, and to obviously secure the defence. So same again, obviously it's only the first half, we've scored first, that's a really good thing for us, but obviously we've just got to be clinical now in front of goal and obviously be really concentrated and diligent in defending.
Jade, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck in half 2.
Thank you very much.
Jade Moore scores for the first time in a Tampa Bay Sun kit, and that has Tampa Bay out in front by a 1-0 advantage here after 45 minutes. The Sun lead by a goal at halftime. We'll step out for a break and update you on things around the USL Super League when we come back.
New flavors. The same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador. Spiked bebidas.
Corbin defending. Rabias is in behind the keeper and scores!
Harley Canal is with the cross. Richardson tapped home.
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Save man by
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Welcome to the Florida Lottery's Department of Good Fun.
We pack all the fun into our games,
while also doing good. Like sending nearly 1 million students to college on Bright Future scholarships.
and giving billions to education across the state.
Because we do fun different here. The Florida Lottery. It's good fun.
Before you accept an insurance settlement for damage to your car, think about this. An accident stays on your car's history permanently, whether it was repaired or not. And if you try to sell it, a potential buyer can easily look it up and try to offer you less. That's diminished value. That's value you're entitled to. Value we fight for. Put our experience to work for you.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous. Addiction can happen in as little as 5 days. Most opioid addiction begins with a legal prescription. It's time to speak out, opt out, and throw out. Talk to your doctor or your dentist to see what's right for you and ask about the risk of addiction. Ask if there are alternative treatments. Learn how to safely use, store, and dispose of opioids to prevent addiction, because it only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cfbhn.org for more information.
Soleil having a party here as Tampa Bay lead Brooklyn 1-0. The inaugural season of the Tampa Bay Sun, presented by Tampa General Hospital. Together, TGH and USF Health form the region's only academic health system, integrating clinical care, teaching, and research to deliver the best possible outcomes, including cutting-edge technologies, therapies, and treatments. And time to take a look at the schedule from the USL Super League. How about Spokane getting that victory against Dallas? And you have Lexington and Fort Lauderdale going on right now.
And that's a timely win for Spokane at this point in the season. There's still not a lot of separation, so that's got to be a morale booster for them. A good one going on right now. But also tomorrow, the Carolina Ascent taking on DC Power.
Yeah, that'll be a fascinating match tomorrow. 3 p.m. is the kickoff right here on Peacock. News and notes from around the league. Winning streak on the line tonight for Brooklyn, and then Carolina. They ended their 4-match winless string by defeating Lexington at home last week. But the big news, international call-ups, 13 players from 13 countries with their national teams for the international window.
And 3 of those not in the game that we're on here this evening, but that's so great for the league to have that many players that are representing their countries on an international level.
For all the news and notes from the league, and the best source, Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty have it with the USL Super League game week.
We've got national team call-ups, player debuts, and plenty of exciting news to discuss.
Mia Corbin makes it count. It's 2-0.
Plus, our special guest joins the show to tell us why she chose soccer over softball, and she breaks down the reality show that is plaguing the league.
Jade Moore opened her account on American soil with a goal in the 42nd minute goal. And Tampa Bay lead it 1-0 at the break. We'll step out for a break and show you the highlights when we return.
Make sure you're checking out all that good stuff at TampaBayFC.com/tickets. It's easier when you chunk up the words. TampaBaySun.FC.com/tickets. Take out 4-pack, Sunbelt, 4-pack. Let's get a baby pack and go with it. Sundays, not the regular season home match for our Tampa Bay Sun. It will be played on Saturday, March 15th. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock, and as Lisa said, first final is still available on our Toyota Media Day. Get your tickets now by scanning the QR code on the screen. How about a historic matchup coming up next weekend? All right, we're going to be hosting Gotham FC coming into town right out here at the Riverfront Stadium. It is going to be the first ever matchup between the two top-tier women's soccer leagues in the United States. So on one hand, we'll have Gotham. Good luck to them. But they're going to be taking on the Tampa Bay Sun FC. It is next Sunday, March 2nd. We will see you out here. Let's make history together. We're already expecting a record crowd. Let's make it even more of a record that will be better than beatable. And you know what you expect that I was there. There was so powerful. There's that outstanding and really voice that sounded like all of us. That'll be me. We'll be here together, all right? Don't forget that next Sunday. See you there. Well, we've been all season long. All USL Super League games are streamed exclusively on TikTok, including playoff matches. Tune in to TikTok for all of your Sundays. And remember, all Tampa Bay Sun corner picks are powered by the Ballroom Group. Special thanks to the Ballroom Group for their support of the Tampa Bay Sun. Seminole Hard Rock, the television team of Tampa, is the proud receiving partner of the Tampa Bay Sun. Anyone can win at Seminole Hard Rock or television team of Tampa. We want to give a shout out to one of our new partners, Rainbow Attorneys, for the female
Tampa Bay has a 1-0 advantage on Brooklyn at halftime. Michael Watra and Casey White back with you as we take a look at how we got to this point after 45 minutes of play. And Brooklyn had some chances early, but Tampa Bay started to get some turnovers. And here in the 17th minute, Natasha Flint had a really good go at it and hit the woodwork.
They definitely worked themselves into the game, and Natasha Flint was a big part of it. This strike, she makes the most of this on the side volley, able to almost dip it down over Purcell, not quite able to do it, but they would continue to go forward. Nacella was a big part of that in the midfield as well.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay was putting this back line that had given up just 8 goals all season long, the league low, in some tough positions. Parker Goins a little heavy on this touch. Purcell has to come out and get to the ball. And in the 40th minute, this is when things really started to ratchet up. Off of a free kick, it's a timely clearance by Kelsey Hill.
Kelsey Hill comes up big in this moment, leaves her feet. Flint's on the back post off this header from Hendricks. It's a great service in. It looked like it might be the go-ahead goal, and this was just signs of things to come as Tampa Bay started to go into it. And it's Flint again, playing Jade Moore high up. She's usually in the holding mid. This time she's in a center forward role, and she makes the most of it.
First goal on American soil after spending the last 12 years in England, her home country. She opens up her account and the party starts here at Riverfront Stadium as the Sun get the opener in the 42nd minute and have the advantage 1-0 at the break. It's a dance party at halftime for Soleil and company, and it's a 1-0 lead for Tampa Bay. Can they hold the lead? Second half action comes your way when we return.
Down here on the east side. Are we good? Have we sampled all of the Burns Steakhouse and Haven noodle bites? You have to eat them before I get done with Brooklyn. I will eat all of them. There will be none left for mine. Are we good? So that was a record point out of all of them. So it's good double thumbs up back. Are we good to go? I know that's dead. Let's close the ball out. Soleil, 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 soleil.
Jade Moore's first goal of the season has Tampa Bay out in front 1-0 at halftime. As we start the second half of play, Brooklyn's 6-game winning streak on the line as second half action ignites here at Riverfront Stadium with a long shot from Jamona that whistles wide left. Michael Watring and former U.S. Women's National Team star Casey White with you. And as we get started for the second half, Brooklyn's won 6 straight. They've been dominant, 13-2. They've outscored teams. Jess Silva might not want to fall behind, but it is something of a test for her group to see how they respond in this situation.
It is, and not only has the scoreline gone Tampa Bay Sun's way, the spells of possession have as well. And so now Brooklyn's going to have to figure out how to beat the lines of pressure that the Sun are giving them. It was completely opposite at the beginning of the first half. So now the mobility of midfield, Yapel, Pluck, Kroger in there is going to be really important to beat that initial pressure.
So let's see how Tampa Bay handles this situation now with Almendares and company coming at this action. It's a Tampa Bay group that certainly feels like they could be higher up on the table at this point in the season. They've had some spells where they've played well, particularly these last 2. They've played well, but they've fallen behind by 2 goals against Fort Lauderdale at home. They came back to equalize that match very late in that one. They fell behind early against Dallas, came back to equalize that match, but coming away with draws in those contests, and that's why they sit in a tie for 4th entering the night with Fort Lauderdale.
And I think it's important to remember as well, there's a lot of inconsistencies. They had to wait for their internationals for quite a few games to come in. They've had some injuries here and there. And yes, everyone has, but Tampa Bay definitely had that inconsistency of figuring that out. And their system of play, just figuring out how to play in units has been really important. And they're hoping that that continues to come together as they play with more consistent personnel.
They're also missing 2 key pieces tonight. Cecile Nielsen is with the Denmark U23 side, and Andrea Hawksdottir is with Iceland during this international window. There have been very few times this year where the Sun have had the full complement of players healthy and on the field at the same time.
Yeah, the talent that they have on the roster is well known. Jess Silva, Brooklyn's coach, even spoke about it, that they have a ton of individual talent.
That ball whistles off of a leg, comes back out. Goins recovers. Cecile Nielsen, 5 goals and an assist this year, second on the team and top 5 in the league in goals overall for the year, so she's gone on international duty. Brooklyn's normal starting keeper, Sydney Martinez, has gone with the Puerto Rican national team. Scarpelli chases this ball down. A couple passes. Garziano pulls away from one defender, taps it over. Scarpelli from range. Orcus gets both paws on it and pushes it wide.
And this is great play. That's your left back taking an inside position. And what I love about her shot, Garziana does really well here, finds Scarpelli, but look how quick she releases it. It's a touch, it's a release, and what a save from Ashley Orcas. I'll be honest, I thought this was in, and she pulled that save out to push it around the post and keep Tampa Bay up 1.
Ashley Orcas, known as an incredible shot stopper, and rings the bell right there. So now to be tested off of a corner kick. Sam Kroger, the New Jersey native, plays it short. Pluck, right back. Kroger taps it through the middle. It's Garziano punching it along, and Orcas a second save in less than a minute to keep it 1-0. Brooklyn had not trailed in any of its last 5. They did trail in their first win of this 6-game set against this Tampa Bay side, but the second half, they typically score often. They have 4 goals in the first 15 minutes of half 2 of their 7 total second half goals for the year. Nacello, this is around. Pluck now flies this ball off of the defender's foot out for a corner here for the Sun. Baldwin Group is the proud presenting partner of the Tampa Bay Sun. Corner kicks protect what's possible. So it'll be Bassett, a 22-year-old from Canada. Played collegiately for Denise Schulte Brown at South Florida. Off this ball right in the middle of the box. Kroger heads it forward. Moore. Bassett tees it up all the way across. It's just past Purcell and out for a goal kick.
And if someone's framing the goal on the backside, they could be tapping this one in. What a great look. It's a cross frame. I think it caught everyone off guard that she was going to take it off that second touch and hit it across, but it's well struck.
Well, the first 5 minutes, very indicative of what we've seen in this match. Both sides aggressive in their attacking style, trying to find goal scoring. Denise Schulte Brown's challenge to her group this year for the second half is to be aggressive for a full 90 minutes. Do some of that gritty hard work. Now can they see this one all the way out against Brooklyn? George slams on the brakes. George curls this across, and Orcas a strong start to the second half. Snares.
And I think some little things that are important too, we have to give a little bit of credit to the defensive effort of Brooklyn on those set pieces. That can easily turn into a second goal, and then it's a really tough comeback to put on. But they're doing really well to stay in this, and still, even though Tampa Bay's established more possession in this second half, they're staying really organized defensively.
Ball tapped forward. Gravias splits defenders, hurdles one. Now this shot attempt flares high. Only Yapel couldn't quite get the hips around it.
Well, after that strike in the first half, they were a little bit tighter to her on that one, so wasn't able to get quite as much power.
It's the first match of the second half of the year for Brooklyn. From here, they'll go to Lexington and then Dallas. First 3 road trips of the second half, and then they'll close the year with 7 of 11 at home. So a lot of points will be on the board for them to take on the home pitch as they entered play this week with a 5-point edge over Dallas and Carolina. Dallas has lost to Spokane at home already today.
Well, you mentioned the ebb and flow of the season, having some away games right in a row, then having a lot of home games to end the stretch of the season. I think that's what you want, honestly, as a coach. Yes, it could be a little bit of a tough stretch here, but they're a gritty team, and they'll try to get as many points as they can on the road to set them up for success once they are back home.
There was that long log jam for Brooklyn in October where they played a bunch of games in a short window of time. Felt like they were playing every match day. And Jess Silva admitting that the team needed a little bit of a breather after that, and that part of the reason why they went on that 6-game winning streak that they currently ride entering the night, but trailing by a goal. Brooklyn had not given up a goal in 421 minutes prior to Moore's goal in the 42nd. The last goal that they allowed was against Felicia Knox of Fort Lauderdale on October 27th. But Tampa Bay is able to end that 4-match clean sheet string and get the advantage here.
And it took something in transition, because when Brooklyn is back in their defensive shape, they're incredibly hard to break down. So it was that transition moment where they caught them a little bit off guard, but incredibly impressive to have that long of a run without conceding a goal against a lot of the attacking talent that this league offers.
And Tuso glides it back. Purcell. Kroger. Scarpelli taps it off of Listro. Jamona, who scored in 4 of the last 6 matches, leaves it for Listro. Jordan Listro curls this around. Listro hasn't scored as a pro, didn't score in college. One of these days her pro account will open.
Well, what I love about what she did in this moment is she had to rotate out into the outside space. For a player that plays holding mid and is so good at positioning, it's hard to kind of pull them out of that position, and that's part of her growth. And I think she does a great job not only making the tackle, but timing that ability to get out there and cover that space where they can't attack.
Bissett gets called for the foul. A little shove. 10 minutes into the second half. Sit at 1-0 in favor of Tampa Bay Sun. This year, 1 win, 3 losses, 3 draws against the top 3 on the table. Their only win coming against Carolina Ascent on November 16th. They feasted on the teams below them. And they start the second half of the year with 6 out of 9 at home. Gravias turns the edge around Bissett. Wins the race. Gravias unfurls one. Might have taken a ricochet, and Orcus sure-handed.
Well, that's a space that Tampa Bay doesn't want Brooklyn to get into outside of those 3 center backs behind Paige Almendarez and behind Nacello. And Gravias does really well here, Orcus with a good save because there was a little bit of a distraction in front. But that space behind the wingbacks of the Sun is a space they can expose. But when Almendarez is back and she has great positioning and Listro's coming out and putting pressure, it's changing the way that Brooklyn has to attack compared to the first half.
Gravias turns the corner, straddles the line and keeps it in play. Eventually runs into Hendricks, however. Brooklyn had a lot of possession early. Tampa Bay had a lot of shot advantage early as well, but 5 second-half shots from Brooklyn has tied things up at 8 apiece. Orcus has come up with 5 saves so far, eyeing her 3rd clean sheet of the season. Top 10 in the league in both saves and clean sheets this year, and over a half hour to try to get the job done against the league's top team. Ball trickles around. George is able to get there in time. George pirouettes through, slides it back. It is Pluck. Pluck launches this ball, top corner. Mackenzie Pluck ties it in the 58th minute with a missile.
And what's so beautiful about this goal is Mackenzie Pluck starts it all. She gets on the half turn in midfield, exposes the central channel, and then it's Mackenzie George just keeping possession of the ball. But Pluck trails the play, gets it, and just unleashes a great finish to the far post. She doesn't stop and watch Mackenzie George work. She joins, and she's rewarded with a great goal.
Pluck had a banger of a shot in the first half. that hit the right post in the 14th minute. Orcus, who's been terrific, cannot stop that. It's the 10th straight match Tampa Bay have given up a goal, and it's the first professional goal for Mackenzie Pluck. And we are tied at 1 apiece as Brooklyn responds yet again to Tampa. Brooklyn has won both meetings this year, including coming from a 1-0 deficit in the most recent one in October. George putting in work again. Takes it away. Pluck wins a throw. What a response it is from Brooklyn. And just a clinical goal as well from Pluck.
You're right, but Pluck just does so many good things on that. She gets on the half turn under pressure, which I think is going to be important for Brooklyn as they play out, because Tampa Bay Sun's taken away the wide spaces of the outside backs going forward. But it's also just industrious. Pluck decides to run 30 yards to join the play, and no one tracks her. And so those are those moments in transition or getting back, getting your lines compact that are really important. Give her credit. She had to hit the shot perfect, but there's so much buildup that was really good about that as well.
5th goal of the season for Brooklyn in the first quarter hour of the second half. And they have tied it up at 1 apiece here, closing in on the 1 hour mark. More in the 42nd, had Tampa Bay out in front 1-0 at halftime. And now Mackenzie Pluck gets her first professional goal after a team-leading 4 assists. Finally gets one of her own in the 58th minute to tie it at 1 apiece. Michael Watrang, Casey White with you here. As 2 of the top 4 teams in the USL Super League table face off here in Florida. Now will either side be able to come away with 3 points with a half hour to play? I feel like we've had this conversation so many times with Tampa Bay this year. Good run of play, good spell of play. They have an advantage, or they're tied and teetering on taking an advantage, and then a little speed bump, a little hurdle happens. This team has been tested time and time again. And what response will they have this evening?
Well, you kind of wonder, they're still in a really good position in the standings with some of those hiccups along the way, and it's just little moments because there's so many times that the spell of play is really good, and so just tightening that up a little bit.
Darius retreats and just flicks this away. Every Wednesday, listen to the USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive in all things Super League with host Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season on the Sirius XM app. Here's Garziano. Garziano flicks this in. Hauled out of there by Orcus. Scarpelli. Scarpelli gets back to the second ball. Bissett, 2 bodies go down. Bissett might have taken the wrong side of that. And we'll get a quick stoppage here. Oakland's going to utilize its first sub of the match. Dana Sheriff, one of the 4 players on the roster with at least 3 goals this year. 26-year-old, played collegiately at Monmouth, replaces Emily Yapel.
The sub comes in the 62nd minute.
Sheriff had the equalizing goal the last time these 2 teams met. She gets this touch. Ships it back over the top for Grabias. Take it away. Flitt, who's been quiet in the second half after an impactful first 45.
Yeah, come on!
Ball down the field. Goins chases. Instead, Purcell
Sam Kroger is so incredibly clean on the ball, and she does so much work as a 6, as that holding mid, going in behind the center backs, and it allows players to commit high because they know a player like her who's really cerebral, has the mobility and the technique to cover in behind. That one-touch ball just into Purcell's feet, it looks easy when she does it, but it's not an easy ball to play when you have that pressure on your back.
Seven second-half shot attempts from Brooklyn. They've been in control of the run of play. Jamona offside.
I think for the Sun, when they had to get back into it in the first half, it was through the feet of Natasha Flint. Her coming back, being able to be composed on the ball, allowing numbers to get out. They showed some really good build-up under the press from Brooklyn. You almost need that calming presence of getting the ball into her to allow them to get more numbers forward.
Roughly 25 more minutes to go in this match. Silver lining here for Tampa Bay. Brooklyn have given up 4 second-half goals. All 4 have come after the 71st minute this season. Tampa Bay is going to make 3 changes here. Dami Richardson, Jordan Zaid, and the debut of Ava Tankersley. They come on. The goal scorer, Jade Moore, Victoria Haugen, and Parker Goings are all coming off the field here in the 66th minute.
And a lot of like-for-like players coming into the game. Jade Moore had to cover a lot of ground in that midfield. Domi Richardson coming in there. Then you've got some speed and 1v1 ability in Zaid and Tankersley coming onto the field. So definitely not looking to sit back, trying to go and win this and bring in more speed and aggression going forward.
Get the debut of Tankersley, 23-year-old. Played collegiately at Arkansas, where she was the 2-time SEC Forward of the Year. 36 goals, 35 assists in 5 years. Played over 100 matches for the Razorbacks, and very much feeling like she could be a difference maker for this Tampa Bay side in the second half of the year.
Ava Tankersley had a great college career, adapting now for the last week to the professional game, but she certainly has the athleticism and pace and just the aggression to go forward. I think that she'll be a really good addition to this Tampa Bay Sun team.
So we'll see if she can have an impact as she gets her first touch here. Promptly draws 3 defenders around her. Tampa Bay haven't lost here at home since Brooklyn won on September 14th. They've scored multiple goals in each of their last 4 here on the home pitch. Brooklyn been great on the road. Big reason why they're the #1 team in the league at this point. Jamona lofts this into the sky. Zaid can be very impactful on this wide side with Nacello on the other end of the field. George tries to bounce away from Nacello, accelerates, runs into a little bit of resistance. Sheriff collides, no foul is whistled. Pickard hustles around, slides it through. And now Richardson just flings it down the field. Flint can be dynamic in these transitional moments. but she's the one that commits the foul. She's playing on a yellow card as well, so that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, something to be really careful with, especially when they give up set pieces. Don't stand in front of the ball. A smart Brooklyn player will just play it into you, and you'll have your second yellow. So you got to be careful there, not only with the potential fouls. And you'll just see here, I like the transition piece of trying to find her, just a little bit of that extra push at the back, and the positioning was gained by the defender in that moment. But you can tell that there's a transition moment that the Sun want to take advantage of, which is play it long when it's a 2v2 against the center backs.
Bissett taps that away. We build this as a potential playoff matchup. It would sit at 1v4 if the playoffs started prior to tonight's matches. And it very much has that feeling with about 20 more minutes to go. If Brooklyn are able to get 3 points, that would really provide the separation. That would be difficult for the teams below them to make up in a quick time frame with a lot of season left. Meanwhile, for Tampa Bay, they're just trying to edge out Fort Lauderdale right now. Fort Lauderdale tied with Lexington 0-0, closing in on halftime of that match. Jordan Zaid with that front flipping throw goes out of play this time around. Gymnastics background for her.
Yeah, that's what she said when we spoke to her, just that she started in gymnastics, did it a little bit in high school, but really in college is where they really used it as a set piece and as something that they could potentially get generating goal scoring chances off of. You can see there's not a lot of room on this field for her to have a whole run up, but you can see the athleticism and what that can do if it is kept in play is make a team really uncomfortable defensively.
20 minutes to go in this one. It's one apiece. Jade Moore's first goal in the U.S. in the 42nd minute gave Tampa Bay the lead. Ended a 421-minute drought by Brooklyn opponents scoring goals against the league's best defensive team. And then in the 58th minute, Mackenzie George against 3 defenders picked out Mackenzie Pluck, who rifled one in from long distance. Her first professional goal, tying the score at one apiece. Brooklyn aiming for a 7th consecutive win. Tampa Bay looking to make it unbeaten in 5 straight at home. Michael Watring, Casey White, and our team with you here on Peacock, locking in for the final 20 minutes. Zaid races. Ristro is an option. Instead, Zaid has it ping pong off of her boot out. Not had a shot attempt in 10 minutes since Garziano took one in the 68th minute, or 62nd rather. Sheriff is looking for George, instead allows Nacello to accelerate. Nacello goes down too easily in John Griggs' eyes. Here's Grabias aiming one from a long way away. Orcus was back into her spot.
It's a bit optimistic, but you can see what Grabias saw there was Orcus was a little bit higher. But as cagey as this game has been, it's starting to get a bit more opened up in transition, and you're starting to see that. So who can manage the transition moments when they have to establish possession, and who can get back into a defensive shape could be the factor of if someone comes away with 3 points in this one.
Maneuver here. Played forward for George. George glides that off of Nacello's foot. It's out, and it is a corner kick here for Brooklyn. 73rd minute, looking to take its first lead of the match.
Brooklyn's doing a good job of when it's not on centrally to go wide. When they take it away wide, they're finding Sam Kroger and Mackenzie Pluck centrally. So Tampa Bay Sun's making them have to make those decisions, but they're doing a really good job of picking out those spaces.
So Sam Kroger will do the honors here of this corner kick. Brooklyn has had their fair share. Haven't been quite that potent so far yet. Kroger boomerangs this ball in with a high arc to it. Ball's in the middle of the 6, and Flint lifts it out towards midfield. Pickard. Kroger. Pickard with her eyes up. Lifts this ball along, and it skims off Sheriff's head. Back to Orcus. I wondered what kind of match we would get out of this. Silva talking about the friendly that they had against Napoli, really their only match that they have had since December, and liked where they were at from an athletic standpoint. Gave them that cultural diversity element, spending a couple weeks overseas, as this will be a booking here for Jamona.
Sam Kroger's a handful. She just comes in, gets that toe in, and Jamona reacts. An easy yellow card decision for the official just from the reaction there. It was just almost like Sam Kroger pickpocketed her a little bit, and a little bit of frustration in that moment.
The referee has issued a yellow card to Tampa Bay, number 19, Carly Jamona. This yellow card comes in the 74th minute.
About a quarter hour to go. Brooklyn, very similar to the first half. Stranglehold on possession for about the first 25-30 minutes. Scarpelli launches this deep into the night sky. And all of a sudden, Tampa Bay started to find some answers at the tail end of the first half. Will something similar happen here in half two? Kroger backpedals, gets it away from Flint. Scarpelli measures this ball. George is the target. Kroger flies it in, had her sights set on Gravias. Orcus intervenes, and now Zaid. Flint holds.
Good decision there from Flint. There's just that want to go forward, but you need to get the numbers up, get a better shape, more advanced, a little bit more open, but under control. So I like that from the front runner.
It was a 3-bullet point thought for Denise Schulte-Brown. Secure the ball, find the outlet, and then finish. Said too many times they've won the ball in good areas, but within a touch or two, they lose it and have to repress again. And they're expending so much energy in those situations that they're not able to find some of those decisive goal-scoring moments.
You're right, and then it doesn't allow the wing-backs to be able to get back in transition. They want to get in an expansive shape, but then if you turn over the ball there, they're in a position that they can't get back in time to help defend.
Sheriff sprints. Hendricks right alongside her. Macello joins the fray and gets a piece of that. Otherwise, George might have had a little seam there. George knocks it down, has the assist. George cuts the corner, lifts it in. Bissett nods it out of trouble. Comes back out, long distance volley, and it looks like that got up on the shin there as it slices wide. Stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. There's some pressure that leads to another turnover. George flips it. Sheriff whiffs. Takes out Almendares. Kroger all the way up to the top. Gravias tried to go no look back for Scarpelli. Instead, Zaid pulls away. Flint, transitional moment here. Flint cannot win the race. It's a good slide tackle from Pantuso. Zaid gets another opportunity at it. Flies it across the field. Backpedaling Jamona. Tankersley knocks it down. Flag goes up, however. She was in an offside roll.
And this is a great transitional moment from Jordan Zaid. Goes off the dribble, plays Flint in, can't quite get there. Good covering angle and tackle from Pantuso. And then it just set up a good moment right here to be able to find something in the penalty area. Not able to get that finish that we were talking about, but better in the transition from the Sun.
Update from Fort Lauderdale. The league's leading goal scorer, Addie McCain, scores in the 49th minute. And Fort Lauderdale United leads Lexington 1-0 at the start of the second half. So as it sits, Fort Lauderdale would displace Tampa Bay for the final playoff position with a few months to go. Ball rattles around. Grabias. Garziano accelerates. Garziano thinks about unleashing one. Instead, cannot get it on target. Bangs it off of the leg of Hendricks. Corner kick coming for Brooklyn as they have another chance. This will be their 7th corner of the match with about 10 minutes to go.
This is what Brooklyn does. They're relentless. If they get on the half turn in those little pockets in front of the lines of defense of the Sun, they look to go and get shots off. And it looked like it was nothing, but it ends up with a corner kick.
Kenzie Pluck, who has the equalizer in the 58th minute. Ready's with this one. Pluck curls this one in. Nacello charges out of the pack with Garziano on her hip. Grabias taps it forward in space. Sheriff Orcus slides over and denies Sheriff.
This is a great little slip ball. Love that with the outside of the foot. It's hard to read. Sheriff's going in, but Orcus reads it incredibly well, comes out aggressively, and makes sure nothing comes from it.
Tied at 1. Less than 10 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. Brooklyn winners of 6 in a row. League record here in the USL Super League against Tampa Bay. Looking for its 2nd win of the season against one of the other playoff pole position teams. Here's a look at the live standings. As it sit right now, 4 teams bundled up there at 24 points. Tampa Bay on the outside looking in. Well, a lot of coaches will emphasize the end of the year, but sometimes these matches in the middle and the beginning of the season, they equal just as much and have just as much value on the playoff push. It's a foul and a booking for Pluck.
It was a good turn right here. Just gets a little bit of the edge. Nacello, this has been a really good battle. It's just a little shove in the back. The extension of the arms looks a little worse than it is, but I can understand why the yellow card came out.
Hope Breslin replaces Pluck. Just picks up that yellow, but Pluck's goal in the 58th minute has us tied at 1 apiece. Brooklyn out shooting Tampa Bay 12-2 after halftime. Floating ball into the box, headed across, Flint stabs at it, and it whistles over the top of the crossbar.
But this is better from Flint. I like that she takes it on the first time volley because she is such a composed player. At times she slows it down, and on this one, she decides to just make contact right away, and I think it catches everyone off guard.
Off of a set piece. The first shot since the opening 10 minutes of the second half before Tampa Bay nearly untied it. Gravias down. Hopefully it's just a cramp as her teammates come over to help. Somebody's just tuning into this match. How would you describe what we've watched through 83 minutes?
I think it's been really back and forth. We'll just take a little look. It just looked like there's a bit of confrontation there that she was the recipient of, but it's been back and forth. There's been spells of possession where Brooklyn's had it. Same thing for Tampa Bay. A really good match. We talked about it. I hate to repeat it again, but it's kind of like a playoff match. It's like they're feeling each other out, but they both want the win. They're going after it, and they're taking risks to try to get those 3 points.
Brooklyn looking to become the first team to 10 wins in the league this year. Tampa looking for its 6th of the season. Will either side get a winner here? In the 4th minute, tied at 1, and a foul is whistled against Gravias. Teams have allowed goals in second half stoppage time this season. Zaid flips and tosses this one in. Tankersley waits for Zaid. Angles it along. Zaid pulls it around. Listro wants the corner and will not get it.
Substitution for Brooklyn. Entering the game number 10, Tess Elmore.
Tess Elmore replaces Gravias on the 11 for Brooklyn. Elmore 25 from England. Have a chance to make an impact here in the final few minutes.
And it looks like the Sun are trying to take this opportunity to press high. You'll see Purcell's kind of motioning to her team to get up and in because of the pressure coming so high. They'll just try to gain some space.
Another great crowd here in Tampa Bay. Just shy of 3,000 official attendance, 2,731 here at Riverfront Stadium. Watch the USL Super League. Jamona pounces. Jamona loops this ball towards the top left side, but it's wide left.
Well, the execution wasn't perfect there, but I like the thought process of that. It's clever, it's different. It can throw a goalkeeper off guard because a lot of players are going to go for power in that moment. Purcell had a little bit of a high line and wasn't able to recover, so very clever from Jamona there.
Brooklyn leads 14-10 in shots. 8 of their 14 have been on target. Only 2 of the 10 for Tampa Bay have tested Purcell, and she's made just 1 save. 7 saves tonight for Ashley Orcus. 87th minute. It's getting late in this one for either side to pull away a winner. Nacello. Appreciate watching this match as a neutral observer because neither side satisfied with 1-1. Sheriff hits it wide.
And you can tell by the substitutions of both coaches, they're going for it. They're mostly attacking substitutions, so want to keep the pressure on, want to maybe show some different nuances to the attack and different personnel changes, and we're seeing those players come in, look very hungry, and want to make a difference in the game.
Marziano. Up top it goes. Sheriff measures. Hooked out wide. Pickard flips it in. Takes a bounce. Bicycle kick. Goes over the top of the crossbar, but we get a whistle prior to that.
And it's Sheriff in there that gets called for that. She causes problems. She commits a foul there, but she's really hard to play against because she's such a distraction. She's always battling. If the foul's not called, it is an opportunity there on the backside for Elmore.
Always going to be difficult to slow that ball down enough to do it, but you like the imagination from Cass Elmore. To the 90th minute now, tied at 1. Will either side walk out of here with 3 points? Both groups motivated, pressing to try to make something happen. Flint now doing some work defensively, putting in a full shift tonight. Tankersley points out where she wants teammates, flips it over the top, nobody there. Pantuso. George dances. Breslin. Kelsey Hill. 4 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half.
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 4 minutes of added time.
Distance ball doesn't latch on. Flint instead takes it. Tankersley in a pocket. Jamona tries to track it down, unable to do so. A tug, a yank, and a foul, and a booking as well. Dami Richardson, the third different player for Tampa Bay to go in the books.
And an easy and obvious booking there for Richardson, just in a transition moment. But Tampa Bay Sun's done well just to get back into a defensive shape. But you can tell when they try to go forward, there's really just one player in isolation, and that's not going to test the back line unless it's the perfect ball and the perfectly timed run to be able to do so.
Tampa Bay outshot Brooklyn 6-2 in the first half. Half number 2 has belonged to Brooklyn, 13-4. They have the goal. Moore scored in the 42nd minute for Tampa Bay to take the lead against the league's best. But Pluck had a missile in the 58th to tie it. And now here's Sheriff flying it in. Takes a bounce. Almendarez clears. Only as far as the middle of the channel. Flint takes it away. Natasha Flint launches this one from long range, and Purcell's able to retreat. A little more loft to it would have made it interesting.
I think everyone thought that she was going to slip Tankersley in, and so she decided to go for it, not able to really hit it the way she wanted to, and Purcell does recover well, but you can kind of tell that the Sun probably only have these transitional moments at this point.
Definitely going to need to hit something in transition midway through second half stoppage time. They've settled into this defensive shape as Hendricks draws the foul against Elmore. Entertaining match here in Tampa Bay between two teams riding strings of their own. The 6-match winning streak on the ropes right now for Brooklyn. Haven't had a non-win since October 19th. It would be a hard-earned road point, though, if they're able to walk out of here with it. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, have given up goals in 10 consecutive. Would have to settle for a third consecutive draw. Just cleared out of play with the final minute forthcoming. George Taps it along Richardson. Tankersley can't slow it. Flint does get to it. Is there enough fuel in the tank now for Tampa Bay to get numbers forward? Almendaris. Over the top it goes. Tankersley bobbles, gets a piece. Nacello is offside.
And I'm not sure if it was Nacello or if it was Tankersley coming from an offside initially, but it was close on that end. I think the second half has been hard for the Sun because they haven't had those longer spells of possession. So Brooklyn's really been able to settle in more, and just those extra passes that have been hard to come by for the Sun.
Playing without Cecile Nielsen, international duty for her, and Tankersley first match in Tampa Bay's kit. And the full-time whistle blows, and each side will settle for a point here this evening. Brooklyn ties it with a 58th minute goal from Pluck. They're unbeaten in their last 7, and Tampa Bay runs its string to unbeaten in 5 in a row here at home. And overall, entertaining match to watch, and I think a fair result.
I think so too. It was very entertaining, and if you're Brooklyn, you're at the top of the table, you're going to have games like this where you've got to get a point out of it on the road, and they do just that.
So it's a 1-1 match in the end in this one between Tampa Bay and Brooklyn in an entertaining contest. 25 total shots. Saves aplenty from Ashley Orcus. Chances for both sides. Plenty of woodwork as well in this match. But in the end, a goal apiece and a point apiece. We'll step out for a break and recap what we saw here in just a moment.
Or you won't be a part of history. Then right after that, the Carolina Ascent will be in town the weekend after. That kickoff is going to be at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Please drive home safely and continue to be the sun, all right? See you around. Drive safe.
It was a very entertaining night in Tampa Bay as the Sun and Brooklyn share a point here this evening in the USL Super League with a goal apiece. Michael Watcher and Casey White back with you to recap the evening. And Tampa Bay was able to get some chances late in that first half, and Natasha Flint nearly came away with the opener.
And she just makes something out of nothing here, takes the first touch, does it on the half volley from the side, just goes, I'm going to go for it myself. It almost dips in for an opportunity.
And then she was the distributor a few moments later. What a pass this is. And Jade Moore finishes.
There are fine margins, aren't there? And that assist was wonderful to Jade Moore, who found herself in an attacking situation. A great finish around Purcell, but a really good chance right here, and Moore puts it away.
So the first half ended 1-0, Tampa Bay out in front. Second half, the script completely flipped. 13 of the 17 shots came from Brooklyn, and this nearly had goal written all over it from Leah Scarpelli.
The attack just kept coming. That's your left back at the top of the box with a great strike. And look at that save. I thought that was past Orcus, and she said, no, thank you, puts it around the post. And then the 58th minute, Mackenzie Pluck gets on the half turn. She starts this entire play, gets it into Mackenzie George, follows it up, and is the recipient of this pass from George and has an absolutely great finish to the back post.
She hit the right post from long distance in the first half. This time, no mistakes made. Pluck ties the score in the 58th minute with this missile to tie it at 1 apiece. And that's where we end this evening's match. And we're now joined by Mackenzie Pluck. And Mackenzie, walk us through the entire sequence there, taking the ball away, what you saw from Mackenzie George, and then the audacity that you had to strike that.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I think in the first half we had a couple opportunities where that definitely should have happened. So the mentality going forward was get it high, check below, and try to finish your shots early and often. And I think we pulled it off pretty well.
And Mackenzie, you guys started the game extremely well, found yourself down a goal, came back. Can you just talk about the grittiness and resilience of your team and just how that defines you guys?
Yeah, for sure. It's a big piece of our team. I think all of our girls have so much resilience in them. They're such a tough group, and I think no matter what we're facing, we're always ready for a fight. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the win, but we're happy to have tied it. Next week, we're excited to keep going, keep pushing, and try to get the W. So yeah.
You play on a very selfless team. There's so many different options that you have. How would you describe the mentality of this group, knowing that anybody can strike at any given moment and provide the goal for this group?
Yeah, I think we trust everyone. I think partially we got to be a little more selfish sometimes in the box and really take ownership of our shots, because those are going to go in, but I definitely trust anyone around the box. I think we have a great chemistry going forward, and hopefully we get more goals to come from a bunch of different people. But yeah, super easy to play with this group.
Mackenzie, congratulations on your first professional goal safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's Mackenzie Pluck scoring for the first time in her pro career. As you take a look at the full-time stats, this was entertaining. From start to finish, both sides were going after goals. There was very little time for either defense to settle in.
And even though Brooklyn did end up on top in all of these statistical categories, Tampa was able to get a little bit more possession throughout that first half, and it really was an ebb and flow and back and forth. Really entertaining overall from two top teams.
So Brooklyn maintains its spot as the top team in the league, now starting to pull away a little bit. Carolina tomorrow against DC Power can close that gap, but this is where we sit right now. Fort Lauderdale has gone up 2-0. Tampa Bay is just going to be hovering along that playoff line the rest of the year, it feels like.
Look at 2 through 5. It's incredibly tight, and even Spokane with the 3 points today is starting to edge their way back up with the game in hand. So you just don't know how that middle of the pack is going to finish.
It's going to be fascinating to watch the USL Super League. And there's one more tomorrow, Carolina and DC Power here on Peacock. It was enjoyable to watch here in Tampa Bay. A first half goal from Jade Moore made it 1-0 at halftime for Tampa Bay. But Mackenzie Pluck ties it in the 58th minute, and ultimately it's a point apiece and a goal apiece as Tampa Bay and Brooklyn share the points. For our entire crew and my partner Casey White, I'm Michael Watreng signing off. Thanks so much for watching the USL Super League.